Hey guys, it's Protendo, and despite having island life as its main selling point, Animal Crossing New Horizons doesn't do very much with the concept. I mean, sure, the game takes place on an island, that's a given, but when we first saw the New Horizons reveal almost 2 years ago. Wait, it was almost 2 years ago? What? Almost 2 years ago, and we heard the words deserted island, I immediately started to think about all the potential the idea had. How there would probably be a bunch of different islands with different uses that we could visit and explore. As it currently stands, it feels like New Horizons is hardly touching the island concept. We've got our own islands, obviously, Harv's Island, Mystery Islands, and that's about it. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at the island concept and see what kind of additions I would make to it, ones that I think could really benefit New Horizons as a whole and add a lot more depth to the game. Without further ado, let's get into the islands. Number 5, Tortimer's Island. This is the most obvious inclusion by far, since it's an island that actually existed in the past. Tortimer's Island from New Leaf was an area you could travel to that featured tons of minigames as well as some exclusive fruit and items. It was a ton of fun, and that's mostly because you could go there with friends. Let's be honest, New Horizons online play definitely isn't the greatest. Not only does it take forever to get to your friend's island, but once you do, then what? New Leaf at least had a bunch of shops you could check out with your buddies, but New Horizons most definitely doesn't. Which is why Tortimer's Island would be so beneficial to the game. Being able to compete with your friends in a variety of challenges would be great, especially since they could up the maximum number of players from 4 to 8. If they do bring Tortimer's back, I'd also like to see the actual island portion expanded. It would be great to see it get a more impressive design, maybe featuring Cap'n's family actually walking around instead of standing in the same spots forever. Number 4, Digby's Island. This is another idea I've brought up in the past, but one I still think would be awesome to see. For those who don't know, Digby was Isabel's twin brother introduced in New Leaf, who works for the Happy Home Academy. And despite being somewhat important in that game, he played an even larger role in Happy Home Designer, a spin-off game that was released a couple years later. And my idea for Digby's Island is pretty much just that. Because New Horizons is all about designing, it felt weird to see characters like Digby and Lyle cut, considering they're two characters who are directly tied to the concept. I'd love to see them brought back and play a role in furniture design. Digby's Island would be a place set up by the Happy Home Academy where animals are setting up vacation homes. When you visit, Digby and Lyle, and maybe even Lottie, would be there to ask you for help with the interiors and exteriors of the houses. The animal who's looking to move in would give you a theme that they're looking for, and from there you have complete creative freedom to design the vacation home. And this wouldn't just be one room like in Happy Home Designer. The player would get the ability to fill in multiple rooms, like a basement and upstairs bedroom, all fitting a unified theme. Once you finish your job, the animal would rate your work depending on how well you designed their house based on the theme. And Digby would give you more bells depending on how good their response is. At the end of the day, it's kind of just Harv's Island but better and with actual purpose aside from taking pictures. I think it would be refreshing to have a place to design where you don't have to worry about the great impact it'll have on your own island. Number 3, Phineas's Campsite. Because New Horizons encourages designing so much, I think a lot of us can often miss the natural vibe of our original, untouched islands, back when they were just weed-infested, mountainous pieces of land ripe with potential. And while New Horizons gives you the option to keep it that way, I'm assuming most players didn't once they got access to terraforming, since that's like 90% of the game. That's why I think it would be a great idea to have an island more reminiscent of that. Phineas's Campsite would, as the name implies, be run by Phineas, and would be an island you could visit during the evening and night, maybe about 6 PM onward. Once you got there, you would find Phineas by a campfire, along with a couple of other randomly selected animals, all in a scout attire not unlike Phineas's New Leaf design. Once you interact with Phineas, he would tell you that he and his scout troop need some things for their camping, and would ask you to help with getting them. There would be dozens of different tasks to complete, like catching fish for dinner, scooping up fresh water, gathering firewood, and ridding the area of tarantulas, but he would only ask for you to complete 3 random ones per day. After finishing the tasks, Phineas would invite you to sit by the fire and reward you with special camping-themed furniture exclusive to him. The other campers on the island would also be available to invite to your own if it isn't full. I really like the idea of having a more chill and relaxed island to visit where you can sort of just spend your time enjoying the environment. I feel like it could look somewhat similar to Harvey's Campground in New Leaf. Also, I think it would be cool if each task Phineas could give you had 3 versions that increasingly became more difficult as you completed them, and finishing all 3 would result in him rewarding you with a badge, just like he did in New Leaf. Number 2, the Rescue Headquarters. This is another idea that I talked about a while ago, but I want to talk about it again because Rossetti is the best Animal Crossing character. Despite New Horizons technically not removing Rossetti since he and Dawn run this rescue service that you can call to get transported back to your house, it still feels like he has no presence in the game since you can't even see him. And I can only think of like 2 times where I used the feature anyway. But I don't think giving Rossetti and Dawn new jobs was the issue, it's more so how it was implemented. Expanding on the rescue service idea seems like the best way to give the two a more important role. And that's where my idea for the rescue headquarters comes in. It would be an island with tons of trees surrounding it, the main standout being a manhole cover in the middle, as well as a helicopter parked next to it. Going down into the manhole would reveal an area very reminiscent of the Reset Center in past games, only now it's obviously altered because of Rossetti's new line of work. Talking to Rossetti will cause him to mention how rescuing people is getting harder and harder every day, to which you can then volunteer yourself as a rescue ranger. Doing this brings up a small list of animals who need to be rescued, each one with their own predicament. The more difficult the task, the more bells you'll be rewarded after completing it. Additionally, after rescuing an animal, you can invite them to your island, which, alongside Phineas' campsite, makes the entire villager hunting process much more engaging than going to dozens or hundreds of mystery islands to find the animal you want. After completing certain amounts of rescue missions, Rossetti will reward you with some of the old furniture from the Reset Center. I think having single-player minigames that have worthwhile rewards like this would be really beneficial and give the player more to do in their daily routine, which would also introduce new fans to the best character in the series, which is obviously a plus. And finally, number 1, the best island Nintendo could possibly add to Animal Crossing New Horizons: the City Island. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Animal Crossing City Folk introduced us to the city, which gave us more shops and buildings than ever before, and did so in a really charming way that fit the series well. New Leaf expanded on that by including Main Street, which featured even more shops and buildings than the city before it, giving us an absolutely insane amount of things to do and buy. And then New Horizons came along, and we have 2 Nook's Homes upgrades and the Able Sisters. New Horizons' lack of shops is easily one of its weakest points, so having an island dedicated to buildings and characters that the game's forgotten would be incredible. I would love for it to start off small and insignificant and, through hard work and dedication, transform into a huge shopping center, just like Main Street did, but to an even greater extent. I feel like a design similar to that of Downtown from Happy Home Designer would work really well, having different levels to explore and shops that get unlocked in different areas. This could include so many of New Horizons' missing characters like Dr. Shrunk, Gracie, Katrina, Harriet, and more. Additionally, it could also feature some of the traveling animals on days they're not in your town, like Leaf or Red. And maybe after giving some of these characters enough business, they'll offer to build a permanent shop on your island, doing even more to add to the progression felt in the development of the city. It feels like something New Horizons desperately needs, and I can only hope that Nintendo integrates something like it at some point in the game's life. But anyways guys, that's about it for this video. As always, I'd love to hear what you think. Would these be good additions to New Horizons? And what islands do you think should be added to the game, if any? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all later. Protendo, out.